Good evening, members of the board. I'd like to call this meeting of the Oakville Public Library Board to order for Thursday, the 27th of May, 2021. Members of the board, first of all, I should ask our committee clerk, do we have any regrets this evening?
We have no regrets. Andrew Cash will be joining us.
Thank you very much. Members of the board, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest to declare at this time? Okay. Are there any declarations of sports fandom to declare at this time? Seeing none, we'll move along. Confirmation of the minutes of the previous meetings. The first was the regular minutes, which were for the meeting of April 22nd, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Sure. Well, you never know. Okay, thank you. Anything further on errors or omissions? Pankaj, can I take your interest as being a motion to approve the minutes? Both the regular and the confidential? Thank you. Is there a seconder for that motion? Bill, thank you very much. Further discussion, errors or omissions? I'll call the question then. Is there any objection to approving the confidential regular minutes as amended? Seeing none, those are approved. Thank you. Members of the board, we have 7 items on the consent agenda. One item has to move to the regular agenda, 4.6, because it has not been previously presented to us. So your consent agenda tonight is in fact 4.1 through 4.5 and 4.7. Of those items, is there anything that you wish to separate this evening? I'm not seeing any indication. Oh, Andrew, yes? I can't hear you, sir. So the items we will be dealing with under consent are 4.1 through 4.5 and 4.7. 4.6 has to move to the regular agenda because we haven't had a presentation on it previously. So 4.4 and 4.5, sure. Okay, anybody else? Seeing none, Andrew, would you give me a motion then for 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.7, please? Thank you. Seconder for that? Thank you, Pankaj. Any objection to the approval of 4.1, 4.2, 4.4, or 4.7? I feel like a bingo caller tonight. Seeing no objections, that motion is declared, and I declare bingo. Let's move to Andrew for 4.4. That is the performance and measures.
Yes, please. I think that's another problem where the pie is wrong.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So the intent was actually, as you can imagine, being a pie chart to show how much circulation is each one of them. So clearly St. Luke's would be a very small portion of it, right? Unfortunately, the way this came out is that what it's showing you is the decrease. So for example, it was done, what I'm trying to say is that the pie chart has been done wrong. We had another one, okay? So there was another one that was wrong. I can't remember where it was, but we have corrected that one. It is further, it's the digital presence one. So the digital presence one was also wrong. We caught it and we corrected it, and this one we didn't catch it. So you're absolutely right that when you look at that, it doesn't really make any sense. What it's supposed to say is this: the total circulation is 100%. Out of that, each branch represents a certain percentage, so that at the end of it, they add up to 100%. That's what it's supposed to be, but it is not. So we'll correct it. Thank you for catching that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'll go back to the definitions page because this is what we use as a way to keep track of exactly how we find that. So I'm just going to look that up for you. So the way it is currently done, it's looking at where the IP address is. But I remember we had conversations about the fact that Cogeco, I believe it is, often will show Burlington. Am I right? Will show sometimes Burlington. So what I'm trying to say is that it is as accurate as the data that we're able to get, but it's probably not 100% accurate because that's the data we're able to get. I see what you mean, like the increase, whether it's gone up from last year or from last quarter. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, we could. Yeah, we can look at that. If we can show basically from, because the way we compare it, we always compare it year to date, right? So in this case, it would be end of Q1 of 2020 compared to end of Q1 of 2021. Has it gone up by 10% or gone down by 10%? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah, we can do that, I'm sure.
Thank you. Let's see if anybody else has anything on 4.4 before we go on to your next one. And I will point out that not only is Cogeco reporting as Burlington, but depending on where you live in Oakville, Bell reports you as being in Cooksville, which is apparently was part of Mississauga. So interesting challenge behind aggregating data from IPs in this general vicinity. I think that Janet had her hands up for 4.4. Is that correct? Okay, go ahead, please.
it down, it makes it straightforward. It's simpler to kind of say, yeah, this is being used. This is less, has less appetite potentially in that quarter. So I think that's helpful. And the other comment that I want, so I had the same question. I thought I was the only one confused about the pie chart. So thank you, Andrew, because I was starting to lose it. I couldn't figure it out. The other is just around the overall use of the data. So when we get to the strategic plan, one of the things we should be able to rely on is, some of this data. So is there a call to question it beyond the one that's for HIP in terms of just reliability? I'm not questioning your work ethic or the numbers you've done, but is there flaws other than Cogeco, et cetera, that we should be alert to when we go to consider the data from a strategic perspective?
For sure. I think there is, like anything else. We did indicate, Tara and I have spoken, and we will, I believe it's in one of the updates, but one of the things, for example, just as an example, one of the things that we came across was that when we presented the 2020 annual report of statistics. Shortly after that, in early January or February or early this year, we found out that the Wi-Fi usage data that we presented was not accurate. We found out after the fact. So what I'm trying to say is that you're absolutely right in the sense that like any data that you collect, there are sometimes things that are either beyond your control or that you find were not accurate. We always try and catch them. And so in this case, I found out about it. We're obviously, we would always let you know if that's the case. There is data that were, let's put it this way. There's data when we're almost 100% sure that it is accurate, and there is data where perhaps it's a bit more challenging. But we will be sure to alert you to that if that is the case. Like the one we just talked about, HIP, like the wireless ones, sometimes the way that data is collected and where it comes from, it makes it challenging for me to stand here and tell you that it is 100% accurate because I sometimes don't have that confidence. But definitely we will always let you know if that's the case. And we always do the best that we can to present you with accurate information or to let you know if there is anything to be aware of. And the best example I will give is the footfall data. So footfall, if you remember, we have gate counters in all our gates, in all our security gates, at all our locations. The one thing to remember is that, that is supposed to tell you how many people have walked through the doors in that particular facility. The reality is that every time a staff member goes in and out or stands very close to the door, you're gonna count that person. So, is it accurate? It is as accurate as we can get it. Is it 100% accurate? The only way we could probably get that is to have somebody standing at the door all the time. So that's how I would answer that.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And my only other question is, and I'm not sure if we've ever talked about it, so forgive me if it's already been covered. Have we ever reported the data out in terms of hours of operation? So how many hours a facility is open against their circulation?
Not that I am aware of. I have in the past looked at that for other reasons. So we could possibly look at that. It's not, it can be done. We just have to be mindful of the fact that comparisons would be challenging from year to year because of the numerous changes in hours that we've had over the last year. But it could probably be done on a shorter period of time if we wanted to compare.
It would be an interesting statistic, and I get the year over year and things evolve and that, but it would be good to understand those that have shorter operating hours and their usage in comparison to those that have a longer operating hours, those that were shut down for a longer period of time versus shorter period of time. You get bursts of intensity. I just think it's a relevant statistic to the strategic plan.
For sure, and we can.
Thanks, Janet. Anything further on 4.4? I said one thing as a suggestion on this metrics around location. There is an alternative method to IP, something called geolocation. You can get an API to plug into a website, and it uses HTML5 to provide geolocation for website visitors. So I think it's certainly something. You'll find a lot of websites where it will come on, like it'll hit you with this thing. It'll say, "Are you okay with us tracking your location?" And some people will say no, but most people will just basically agree to, especially if it's a reputable website like a library or something. And that's one way that I'd say most professional, corporate websites to whose data is important to them, they are using geolocation technology in order to determine their whereabouts. It's also a way to block, certain countries if you don't want to be doing that as well. So just a suggestion for
Sure.
For Marcus and his team and whoever
we
else
can
is
pass it
managing that. Thank you.
Can I just to follow up on the comment about usage per hour, we can in a period of time, we can definitely look at doing something like this, and we would probably do it like a sample. We would pick a period of time and do it within that same period of time, and probably the most useful is given the current situation, is that we do it for a a recent period of time. As you know, we're hoping to open early July. And so we might be looking at doing something like that and present it with the Q2 report. So thank you for the suggestions. We'll look at that.
Thanks, everybody. 4.5, Andrew.
It's me. What is 4.5?
Andrew, you're still muted.
Sorry, tried to click. Okay. In the introductory paragraph, it just states, and I know we discussed this last time, Oakville Public Library no longer charges overdue fines, which is a very firm statement. And I just thought maybe we could add on most materials or something to that effect. Because I believe we still have, for example, fast lane, we reserve the right. And I thought it might be better to cover our options there.
So I addressed that in the first bullet point underneath, where we said, because we had a conversation about we still wanted to have fast lanes, should we actually end up charging for them? Because as I explained, we're not really doing that at the moment.
Right.
So I wrote in the first bullet point, late returns of materials borrowed, brackets, in select circumstances only such as fast lanes.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you think that's sufficient to address the first sentence of the paragraph above.
You know what? Technically, it probably is. It just felt like maybe it could be contradictory as well, and that's what I was concerned about. But if everyone else is comfortable with the language, that's fine. Are there any other opinions?
Yeah, I was going to say, are there any other comments on this?
My comment would be, I agree with Andrew.
Yeah, me too. I think it is important to clarify that it's most items that are exempt, and then the bullet sort of covers you off.
Regular.
Yeah.
I would agree with Andrew too.
For that.
And I'm almost making it unanimous. I think that because it's a policy statement and it's an overarching paragraph that's sort of defining the rest of the statement, you don't want to be contradicting yourself right off the bat. So I think a simple modifier, and I don't think it has to come back for it. We can leave that to you, I think.
So we talked, Tara came over and we thought that if we write, as of January 1st, 2021, Oakville Public Library no longer charges regular overdue fines.
Or how about overdue fines at this time?
Well, I personally think it should say on most materials. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Charges overdue fines on most materials.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's good.
That's no problem.
Okay.
So we'll be approved with that.
Yes. Yeah. Anything further on 4.5?
That's it.
Okay, thanks for raising that, Andrew. Andrew, can you give me a motion on 4.4 and 4.5? So 4.4 is as presented, 4.5 is as amended. Is that okay with you?
Yes. Thank you.
Moved. Seconder to that, please. Janet, thank you. Any further comments, questions? Any objections? Those are carried. Thank you. So that completes our consent agenda with the understanding that 4.6 has become 6.2, and we'll deal with that under that agenda item. So moving on to the discussion items, we start with 6.1, which is the comprehensive financial progress report as of March 31st, 2021. And the action is to receive it. Tara, do you want to walk us through this?
Sure. So we're still early in the year, so a lot of the comprehensive financial report really does provide a high-level overview of the variances that we'll expect by the end of the year, but it only does cover the first 3 months of the year. But you can see that already Oakville Public Library is projecting an operating surplus of roughly $350,000. The majority of that is a result of staffing as we continue to work our way through the pandemic. There will be some shifting of that as we open up through the summer and into the fall, and hopefully resume regular hours closer to the end of the year. And the development reserve is projecting a year-end balance of just around $270,000, and the HIP Trust is projecting a year-end balance of close to $140,000. So Belinda and I are happy to take questions on any of the information from the report.
Thanks, Tara. Any questions?
I just have a brief comment, and Belinda, maybe this is just for you from just a presentation perspective, and it's probably just my advancing age, but when I look at a report like this, it would be really nice to have in brackets what it was last year, just so it would give me some context, because I just need a year-over-year type view of the whole thing. Because when I look at it, okay, the HIP Trust is projecting a year-end balance of 142 grand. It doesn't mean anything to me on its own, but if you had in brackets, 2020 law, then that would be good. Something like that, if it's not too onerous.
Are you mentioning in the back section?
But just even under those bullets,
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
just in brackets after the 347, you could just say 2020 $dollar amount. And
Totally.
Exactly. Just for all of those items, and that way, or whatever you're presenting, because I
Yeah,
know
so-
these will change over time.
Right, so
Just
you're
the
talking
context.
comparison Q1 of the
Correct.
previous year?
Yeah.
Yep,
And then
I
in
can do that.
Q2 would be comparison Q2, et cetera, et cetera.
For sure, I can definitely do that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, the action on this is to receive. I look for a motion to receive the report, please. Thank you, Bill. Seconded by? Susan, thank you very much. Any objection to the receipt? Noting there's no objection, the matter is carried. 6.2 is the website update, the most exciting part of our board meeting, hopefully.
It's 6.2, the customer policy?
No, this is website update, website,
What?
Our live agenda is updating.
oh, I apologize. You wanted me to move the other one to 6.2. Right, for some reason I had it in my mind it was 6.3. Okay, so 6.2 is in fact the customer privacy policy.
And I'm back. All righty. Sorry for,
Oh, and the website and the program has now noted that, so thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
okay. So we are bringing forward a new policy for you to provide us feedback and comment on. Previously, we currently have a policy called the confidentiality of customer records, that is Appendix B in the package. After reviewing that policy and looking at similar policies from other public libraries, we decided to change the name of it and add a whole bunch more information in it. You will see that it is quite comprehensive. We did quite a bit of review looking at what other libraries are doing. We consulted with the legal department at the town as well, so they were able to provide their feedback already. So their feedback has already been incorporated in the draft that we're presenting to you today. And so we're bringing it forward, being a brand new policy, and hoping you can give us some comments or feedback or ask any questions, anything you might want us to look a little bit more into.
Members of the board, do you have any questions for Simona on this policy? Thank you. Stephen.
Yeah, hi, thank you. This is more just a question of reference, perhaps, germane to privacy. Has the OPL itself as an entity, as opposed to the town, has OPL itself ever had a cyber breach with respect to customer information?
Not that I'm aware of. No, not that we know of in our time anyways.
Yeah, I can't remember one. I've been on the board for 6 years, but it's all the rage. Everyone's reading about it and writing about it these days, and clearly this is in the same vein as cyber breaches. I'm just wondering if we had any experience. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Anything further on this policy? Janet?
Well, just further to that, I thought we got an email a few months back that some of the customers' data was released inadvertently. Do I have that wrong?
There was BiblioCommons. Do you know more? Do you want to speak to it?
Yeah, I can speak to it. Yeah, I guess when Stephen asked this question, we were looking at a breach to our servers and our information. What happened is there was an issue with BiblioCommons, which is a third-party vendor. So we actually have an API that passes back username and barcode in order to register people through BiblioCommons. And at one point, somebody in BiblioCommons was updating something, and so that was visible for a short period of time. So in that retrospect, in that aspect, yes, I wouldn't necessarily call it a breach. It was probably more of an exposure, and it was relatively short. They closed it up as quickly as possible.
Thanks for clarifying that. My question was around paragraph, third paragraph on page 2 of the policy, where it says by having the physical library card or access to the card in digital implies consent for the holder to pay fines or pick up materials on behalf of the card owner. I'm a bit curious about that because somebody could have stolen someone's wallet, somebody could have access to a card, and come into the library. And so are we comfortable with that statement?
So I'll explain a little bit about the practical aspect of this. So this practice has been in place not only at OPL, but across the libraries, all the libraries that I know, and it's sort of common practice. And what it is that if a family, it's often a family member, right? So if often a family member comes to pick up holds on someone's behalf, or perhaps even pay fines, so often you'll have the parent paying for the child's fines and so on. The fact that they have the library card implies that somebody gave it to them. Now, I agree with what she said, that it could be a lost card. Now, the second part of it is that in majority of cases, the individual would have to use the library card at the checkout kiosk, at which point they wouldn't have to know the PIN number, right? So in our particular situation, majority of the checkouts happen at the checkout kiosk. So the person would have somebody's card, so the spouse or the child's card or whatever, they would come in, they would pick up their holds, they would go to the checkout kiosk, they would need to know the PIN number in order to access the account. Now, you are absolutely right in the sense that technically speaking, the person could have a card that they found or that they've stolen, and they could not go to the checkout kiosk, and they could go to the desk, right? And they could hand somebody the card. And so unless you have a very good reason, remember there's no photo ID on the card or anything. So if I hand in someone's card, I don't necessarily get questioned, is that your husband's card, or whose card is that, right? The assumption is that you're picking up. So there is, I'm not going to say there isn't a risk there that could happen. The other side of it, the risk of not doing it this way, is that there would be a lot of upset and frustrated customers who would not be able to pick up on someone's behalf. And like I said, it's mostly a family member that they're picking up holds for. So that is the challenge. We've done this all across for many years here in Oakville and across other libraries, and it doesn't really happen where that one scenario would come up. But it's not impossible, absolutely.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that for me.
And I would also add that at any point in time, if a customer brings a card to the desk and staff have any concerns whatsoever, they could always, ask for the name and the address and the phone number and all of that to verify. So that's totally doable.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Andrew, go ahead.
Thank you for preparing this. I just wanted to clarify something under retention. So it reads, the library retains records of library transactions, etc., for as long as the cardholder remains active. The inactive accounts with no outstanding balance are deleted after 2 years. So, conceivably, we could have decades worth of transactions provided that the customer keeps using their card within a 2-year time frame. I don't know. Is that reasonable, and is it expected, I guess, by the customers that will retain that data for so long?
So you're right in the fact that it's probably not reasonable, and we are working on that. So at the moment, the system is set up to do that. We have identified as something that needs to be looked into. It is not as easy to deal with, but we have identified it, and we're taking active steps to deal with that. You're absolutely right, though it is not probably the best practice to keep that.
Well,
absolutely.
Well, I think there's not necessarily much harm to be done there either. It did strike me as a little bit odd, but I certainly I may want to see my history for the last several years, and I don't know what the right time frame is. So the other one is
sorry,
Tara, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, and that's part of it, right, is people can opt into their borrowing history, and it is surprising how many people want every book that they've ever read to that. So as part of looking at that, there's going to have to be some public consultation about what exactly that time frame is. Because I remember, both at Ottawa Public and here, when we move over to different and people lose their borrowing history, it is a significant problem.
Yes.
So that is
That would be
the
traumatizing.
biggest concern, and some people want forever, and some people just want last week, and it's just finding that appropriate balance. But you're right.
Okay, maybe they might have the option to purge at a certain age or something. The only other, it's a tiny change, but I think it's meaningful, is if we can add the letter A between the word identifying and specific. So it's transactions identifying a specific individual's use, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, that was all. Otherwise, it's very good. Thank you for the thought put into this.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, I have a couple of things. So first of all, with respect to the paragraph use and disclosure, there's this paragraph here that says any disclosure of personal information to law enforcement officials must be approved by the CEO. Is that really appropriate? Like, if it's been appropriated by law enforcement, is there any right of approval at that point?
So what we're talking about, if somebody comes in with a warrant, that there is none.
Right.
But sometimes in missing person cases, police officers will come in asking if we've seen the individual or if the last time. So at that point, we do want some check form with it. And that really what that speaks to, it's not official documentation or requests from different organizations that libraries do get, but more like those time-specific ones that
I understand. Missing persons in particular
Exactly.
is important. I get that. Thank you. I accept that. Number two issue is, I don't know if I'm satisfied with, I'd like to hear the explanation behind the third-party use of data. There's a very brief statement on third-party use that I found, and it says personal information may be shared with agencies and companies working within the scope of their duties on behalf of the library and in compliance with this policy. I didn't find anything else related to third-party disclosure of data. And the reason I raise this is that almost all of the major breaches that have happened have generally been with respect to third-party data collection. And I'm just wondering if that needs to be more robust. And what really tweaked my mind to it is when you said that with BiblioCommons, they only have the name and the barcode. They have the name and the barcode. And I don't know why they would even need the name.
username.
Oh, so not their actual name?
No.
Okay. But in terms of, some of them are, I know that I've written privacy policies for collection of data before, and I've actually had one of them vetted by a privacy specialist lawyer, and I had 3 pages of details around disclosure to third parties in terms of liability and responsibility of third parties and such. Is that covered somewhere else in our organization? Is there some other document or something that has a more succinct explanation of the rights of our cardholders as to the protection of their privacies when it comes to third parties?
Yeah, I mean, I can start and then Simona can kind of jump in. And it is really twofold because third-party data, BiblioCommons, Hoopla, the user is required to register with them. So the information that we're passing back and forth is not what the user has provided to them and is then covered under their privacy policy. Okay. But what they need in order to register to be able to use it is what's covered under ours. So we provide access to validation. So their barcode and their PIN that they can use, that yes, you are an OPL customer, that provides you access. But if the person chooses to register with that, they should read that third party's privacy policy.
I'm wondering if maybe that should be specified in this privacy policy.
We can flesh it out.
That, to basically
should you register, you must abide by the.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
You will be covered under the other EULA from the other organization, right. And that the only information that we provide is non-identifying information or something along those lines, just to give people that assurance, because data privacy is becoming every day a bigger and bigger issue as we hear one breach after another. I mean, a day doesn't go by that I don't get another email from some company or credit card company or subscription I have that says, your data was sold to, or your data was lost, and good luck. Yes. Essentially. So I think it'd be really good if we could be clearer on that.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, we can work on something.
Okay, thank you. Anything further from my colleagues? I don't see any. Can I get a motion to receive this report? And I guess we'll see the sequel to this at the next meeting. Nobody wants to move it? Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it. Seconded? Seconded. Thank you. Andrew? Any objections to the receipt? Seeing none, this is the receipt is approved, and look forward to seeing this on the flip side, as they say. So let's move to 6.3, website update. Oh, Joe's already there. Wow.
I'm ready to go this time. No,
You're like lightning fast.
So reports there. So, I mean, website project continues on plan, on budget, on schedule for end of June launch, which is all great news. Like I said, I'll briefly pause to see if there's any questions regarding the report. If not, I will actually show everyone a live demo of the site. And then I said, following this meeting, Tara is going to send out the credentials for all the board to have access and provide feedback on the actual website. So we'll go from there. So if I'll pause to see if there's any questions on the actual report, because it was a fairly lengthy website report.
Stephen?
Yeah, thanks very much, Joe. Thanks for this. I have one comment and then more of a question. The comment is in the background, and maybe I read too many history books, but I did find your background to be a little sanitized. It kind of jumped from 2004 to last year. And these are matters of public record, and I think that it might behoove you to put in a paragraph of or a bullet point of, there was there was an attempt to try this before September 2020. So I found it a bit sanitized, but my more substantive question, and you might be about to cover this, so I apologize if I'm preempting you, but I'm assuming the website is in English, but in what languages is the communication going out to the community?
Are we speaking about the kind of public inquiry, public information?
Yeah, you have a comms plan, which I think it looks pretty comprehensive, looks pretty good. But of course, we have a very diverse population, and increasingly so, with lots of different languages spoken at home. So correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the site itself is in English and only in English, but are there going to be multiple languages with respect to some of the outreaches to tell people that we have this? Of course, you have to read English to do the site, but are you contemplating other languages in your communications?
Yeah, we can definitely take a look at that. To be honest, we were just preparing English communications for the launch strategy and the tactics, but we can definitely take a look at some of the other languages and push those out as well.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm not looking to spend hard dollars where it's not my position or want to do, because there would be a translation cost. I'm just saying it might be something to think about as germane to other communications to our the community. Many people speak different languages, so I don't know if it's particular to this outreach or more broadly, but I would give some thought to some language outreach as befits the budget, because again, their translators are not inexpensive.
We can definitely take a look at that.
Thank you. So we'll hear back on that. Thank you. Anything further? Okay, I won't. I was just going to say I think one of the challenges around too much reporting on some of that is that a lot of that information was dealt with in camera. So some of that information can't be disclosed, unfortunately. So, but I think Joe's taken your point, and perhaps there could be some sort of
we can
summary.
put we can add
maybe when you finally report the thing out, there can be a bit more detailed encapsulation of the history of the website. Thank you. Okay, so I'm seeing no more questions. The anticipation is overwhelming.
Do
and
we have like a drum roll effect?
Drum roll, please.
No.
You should have, yes. The clerk should note the clerk did not prep a soundtrack for the chair. He's disappointed.
So I can no longer see everyone on the screen. So if there's any questions or anything you want me to pause on, just please let me know, and we can.
That's my job.
All right.
I can see them.
Perfect. Thanks, Joe. Okay, so I'll start taking you through. I mean, a couple things to highlight first is the site is not 100% complete, nor is this the actual live publication. This is literally a staging environment which we've created to do tests on. So again, you'll get access to this because the live website, the opl.ca website, is actually still on our old website, which we can't actually officially link yet, or else it would obviously be transitioned over. So you'll see a lot of our partner materials and items along those natures that are still not fully linked and functional because we can't officially switch them over until that kind of go live date. So couple things to note as well. I mean, again, after this meeting, Tara will send out an email with the actual URL to access this, as well as a link to provide any feedback. So we're scheduled to go live in a couple weeks. And again, our budget is fixed. So any sort of major changes or suggestions or anything along those lines will have to almost be parked. We want to hear them all and we will take them into consideration. But any large overhaul and changes, I mean, we'd have to park those for probably a later date. Anything cosmetic, bug fixes, small little things along that nature are things that we still have the power to take a look at today. You'll take a look and I mean, the homepage is still listed as 2019 summer reading. None of the content has been updated yet. What we've been focused on right now is specifically the functionality that was broken. So we've fixed the majority of the functionality of the site, and in the coming weeks, we'll be able to update all the content before we go live. So yeah, we can kind of, my goal right now is to literally take you through a quick 5-minute kind of overhaul. These are what it is. And then again, if you have any questions along the way, there's a feedback form. Everyone has my email. Just let me know when you have access and you have any questions, you can just reach out and I'll take you through it. But this is essentially the homepage. I mean, what makes me most excited is, like I said, all these items here are editable. So historically, right now on the OPL website, whenever I want to change a banner, I need to submit a ticket to change a banner ad. All of these pieces now are based on a CMS, which our team, our marketing team, and our teams at OPL has access to change. So things like the Linda, the color, the images, these ads are all things that we can easily change in the background and kind of fix around. If we take a look here, I mean, shortcuts are all kind of our heavy hitters that we can kind of quickly reach out to and put here. Programs or events are features that we have. So we have a program and events tool, literally in our CMS, so the kind of the database which we can organize the whole website. We can select any program events that we want to feature that show up on the homepage. Moving down, new release. So this is a curated reading list that we can kind of put together of, again, if we want to focus on a specific month or a theme or anything, we can select which list goes here. And of course, the kind of footer here. If we start off, let's see, again, this is live. This is a live website. So, I mean, we can type in this right here. We'll start things off with the federated search, the long anticipated federated search. What's something, okay, let's go. So if you take a look, first off, what's very exciting, this is a predictive search. So on a federated search, this is actually a very complex thing to build in the background. So if you start typing, it will bring up the top hits for your specific, whatever you're looking for. So I'm just gonna write book club because I know we have programs, we have events, we have all kinds of things associated with a book club. So this would be your federated search. So again, a lot of the content, these images are gonna be updated, things are gonna get done, but you'll see here that you have 4 distinct categories of which our website, of which this federated search is looking at. The first one is books, movies, music. Next one's programs and events, which is all the, again, all of our programs and events, which is pretty self-explanatory. If you move down, community resources is attached to HIP. So these are all kind of items within HIP's databases and lists that come up. And the last one is OPL results. So for the first time, our actual search searches our website, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But so this will actually search our website and bring up items within our website. So that's a kind of quick one here. If I go back, again, if I take you back to the home page quick, if it goes, let's go to get a card. So one of the exciting features is now you can officially get a library card online. So it's simple form here, which will, I mean, I'm not gonna go through all the process here, but you can literally submit to get there's a button up top to register now as well, but if you want to, you could literally go through the process of submitting and getting an easy access library card. So this isn't a full access card. So you have essentially a little bit restricted in terms of, I mean, the amount of items you can take out, amount of resources you can have. It has a 2-month window, but essentially all you do is it will get you your library card number and PIN, and then you can, once you're ready and once you can go into the branch, you go in and you validate and they'll give you a permanent card. But again, this will be online for the first time, which is exciting. Yeah, let's go, if we go back, run through federated search. So if we go back to the homepage, donate, like I said, donate, we can highlight anything we want to do, but donate would be another major piece. Yeah, again, just, I'm going purposely very quick. So just stop me, flag me if you have any questions, concerns. So I just clicked on books, movies, music. So again, federated search, if you want to search anything specific, you search it. These are our recommended lists. So you have, I mean, right now we have it set up with recommended for you, books, new releases, movies, new releases, music. But essentially, these are all reading lists that we can pull together. And these are curated lists that we have within our system that we can just drop in whatever, how many and however we want. Here's another cool one. We'll go languages quick. I'll give you a look. So again, this is our staging environment, which everyone will have access to. So if I just click on languages. So again, Stephen, you're mentioning languages in our communication, but this is just a quick way to, I mean, there's other ways you can find this. I just saw the link right now, so I clicked on it. So again, these are all the languages we offer material for. So I mean, I'll click on Italian, you'll see what kind of material we have. Then if you went into books, it would, again, you'd be taken to one of our partner sites. You'd be taken to BiblioCommons, which is still in our live production, which will then, I mean, you'll be able to see all the Italian resources that we have. So again, if I go to programs and events, so this page is still being designed. So you'll see it's not completed. The design is, we're going to add a bit more details in each and every program here. And so again, this isn't completed, but you'll see the opportunity to select which branch, age group, event type, filter, and so forth. You can search specific events, calendar. So there'll be, when the site goes live, you'll have it won't be just a calendar like this. You'll have a from and to, and then which will automatically bring up a calendar. So this exact page is still being worked on, but it should be ready for the go live. And yeah, if we go to online resources, so again, easy, you can search anything you want. You can click on one of these and they'll take you and they will narrow down the resources in the search. But again, we can essentially, these are the main overarching buckets that we put together. We can click down, but these are all the online quick resources. Library services, if we went too quick, again, these buckets that we've selected here are items which we've selected and we've put here. We now have the capability of rejigging this and putting whatever items we want to feature. So again, once we start getting our analytics on who's clicking on what and what are some hot items, we can easily change this around once the website goes live. But again, if you wanted to click on, I mean, we looked at get a card, I mean, 3D printing, again, it's just, they're all quick access resources. If we go to locations, so again, based on, I mean, we're all mentioning geo-targeted, but again, we can use, the website uses Google API to kind of plug in, find our location. We can target where we are compared to the branches. The 2 literally represents, I mean, based on the view, there's 2 within close proximity. But yeah, all of our branches are here, expandable by hours, and so forth. So, yeah. What are some other key things? I mean, family is essentially just again, similar to our homepage, just with family curated contact for younger children. If we went to My OPL, we can log in here. So again, so you can see right now, this takes us back to the old website because a lot of these things are still actively being used within the existing website. So when you have this, when you're looking at the website and you find, oh, the header and footer look different, it's because those specific items are actually still being used within the existing website today. So if we were to flip those over right now, we would essentially start breaking things that are actually functional today. So That's why you'll see a lot of, some items that are still kind of branded with the old structure. So this will actually take me back to, so I gotta go back to the actual website.
Is this your history, Joe?
No, this is actually a web demo history that they gave me to take a look at.
We were just curious what books you're reading.
Oh, yeah. You'll see a lot of children's Paw Patrol and princess books. And yeah. But yeah, so again, this is actually another, this is actually a pretty exciting, this is my profile. So this will all, I mean, once we launch, this will all be pre-populated with your information. It's just, this is actually just a web demo that they erased for me. So pre-populate, if you wanted to switch or update any of your information, you'll be able to see your balance, pay a fine. It's all there. It's the website, I would say, is about 85% ready to go. All of the major hurdles like single sign-on, federated search, the profile are complete. It's just a lot of the cosmetic and kind of content-related items which we're working on in the background prior to launch. But that's my kind of quick 5-10 minute tour. Any questions? I said Tara's going to send out credentials and how to access everything tomorrow morning, but any questions?
Members of the board, do you have any questions at this time? Okay, I have a few. On the front page, the hero photos, is that a slider or is that static?
I can go back here. Right now it's static.
But will it be a slider of sorts, or is that going to remain static?
This one will remain static. It wasn't in our, I actually asked that question. It wasn't in our scope this time around to make it. What we can do if there's multiple items that we want to specifically promote, essentially this is one we can change. And again, this is it, and then this one would be one that we can easily change. So right now we typically don't put more than 3 kind of banner ads.
Right.
So again, it's kind of laid out a little different, but again, it's on our list. It's in our parking lot to potentially move this into a transitioning one in the future.
Are the recommendations, can you scroll down for a second?
Sure.
So the recommendations that are here, are these based on visitor analytics, or are they simply just curated for everybody the same titles?
This will be a curated list that we want to promote for that specific week.
Okay.
We want it based on some incidents that happened at other library boards of kind of content being generated based on public computers and so forth. We decided to keep that as a curated reading list based on what we wanted to promote.
Sounds like an interesting story.
Pardon?
That sounds like an interesting story.
Yeah, we can talk about that one later.
Okay. So if you hit the page, you're not going to see Paw Patrol when you're looking at it.
No, okay. I will see kind of whatever on our featured page, whether we wanted to feature for that week or that day or that month would be that curated list.
Okay. Can you scroll down to the footer? I'd just like to see what's in the footer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you click on key contacts?
For sure. So these would all be old based on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you have a section for board members, so the people will be able to see who their representatives are? Oh, that's good. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the old one.
Yeah, again,
Okay,
this is old. We will be adding the board to this for sure.
Okay. And when you click on board, what do you get? It's the same old board one as well?
I'm sorry, where did you see?
Over there,
Yeah.
board? Not B-O-R-E-D, B-O-A-R-D. There we go. Oh my gosh, there's my picture.
Who's that?
Okay. Man, I hate that picture. Okay, great. That's all the questions I had. I look forward to having a chance to have a look around.
Perfect.
Back to the board. Any questions or comments that you wish to offer at this time? Janet.
While we get a chance to play with that, I do think it's important to say, take a deep breath. You actually got us to this point, and I know you probably have been really, really tense about the timeline and the pressure and to get it right. And I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And it sounds like you're really quite passionate about it. And so thank you for caring enough to get us to the finish line and for taking some feedback that we'll give you most assuredly. And if it goes in the parking lot, it goes in the parking lot for next time. But this is a big step forward, and there's lots to be proud of
Perfect. I mean, yeah, I can't personally take credit for everything. There's been a great team from, ITS and OPL and then Tara guiding us. So again, it's been a full team effort there.
That's great. Other members? Okay, well, I'll just wrap it up by essentially echoing what Janet said. I thank you so much for everybody's participation. This, Joe, for you championing the cause, and for everybody else's participation. It really seems like we're really close now, and I personally, from what I've seen, I like what I've seen. I think it's much closer to what we originally envisioned, and I'm happy. I'm looking forward to seeing it in more detail when I can spend some time on it, and really looking forward to the public getting to see it. So thank you, everybody. Great job.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to receive the report, please? Janet and Bill, thank you. Any further comments, questions? Any objections to the receipt of the report? Seeing none, that is received. Thank you. Let's move on to, I've lost track here. CEO Goals Quarterly.
Sorry, mask wearing makes you dry. The board, we brought the 2021 CEO goals to the board. And so this is the quarterly update. However, did I write it in here? Yeah, so this is basically an update of where we stand with all the different CEO goals. To date, we're making good progress throughout the different organization. Everything is identified as green, except for the last one. And I'm confident that I'll be able to turn that around. That really has a lot to do with the current circumstances and just some of the struggles in meeting and forming significant relationships with individuals. I'm not really interested in just meeting with people for the sake of meeting with them, but actually having really in-depth discussions, figuring out how we can actually work together, and then potentially bringing other members of our organizations together in order to action things. So that does take a bit more time to that. But as I mentioned, Kyle Barber, Colleen facilitated an introduction with Kyle Barber, and he and I had a fantastic conversation and have actually arranged to talk at least quarterly because we have very similar mindsets, and our organizations really do align wonderfully, and we should be doing more together. So I think that will be a really great partnership that we've had, but I think can definitely be built on moving forward. And there's definitely more organizations in the community that will serve that as well. And as we all turn to recovery, it's going to be a great opportunity for OPL to really get out there.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Janet?
Thank you for this, Tara. I want to give you a few things that might change you from yellow to green in that category. You made a stronger connection with Sheridan with the work with the college students. And I have to say, having participated in that, I'm thrilled that you persevered. It was quite enjoyable to not only see what they came up with, but to see the sort of the differences in terms of how they approached it. So I think you should get, big points for strengthening that relationship. And I would strongly encourage us to keep that going, because clearly some of them don't get the library and others really got the library, and it was fascinating. The other are two on here that my understanding is you've connected with the Downtown Business Association to some degree with Adrian Gordon, but I would encourage you to make that a stronger connection.
Yep.
Because one of the things we talk a lot about is the number of visits to the central branch is a core element of the success of downtown. And so the more, and she can be a great asset in terms of pushing out good information related to the library. And the last is, I'm curious if you've made a connection with Drew at the Chamber.
So Drew and I have had a number of meetings over the past number of years. And we keep having conversations, but we have yet to really figure out a way to nail down some of the ideas that we have. I think just because of mixed priorities and we're doing this at that time, they're doing that at that time. We have had conversations. I particularly think, and this is actually, it aligns to some of the conversations I had with Kyle Barber about economics, particularly, recovery of our entrepreneurs and our businesses and how we can assist with that, as well as people moving back into the job market. And so I think that's a broader conversation that we'll definitely be having with him.
Well, the reason it struck me is because I don't know if it's lynda.com anymore. I thought
It's LinkedIn.
Lynda.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a perfect example of how they could champion that the library is a resource for those that may not have access to, high-end recruiters or outsourcing firms. And so I thought those were three that actually would put you into the green. So thought I'd share that.
Great, thank you.
Further comments? Along the same lines, I'm glad that Janet raised the chamber. I had not thought to ask you about this, but I'm wondering if you're not having, if you're not creating any opportunities yet, or they're not opportunities presenting themselves. I wonder if maybe that's kind of, perhaps you need a subcommittee to help with that, and maybe some people that have business background that might be prepared to talk about different ideas as to how the chamber and the library could coexist. We had a program, an entrepreneurship program with the chamber years ago that got canceled. I can't remember if you were here when we were doing that.
I don't think so.
It got chopped off in a budget unfortunate situation, and I found the program to be quite excellent. I mean, it was a really good program. The former president of the chamber was a big advocate for it too. So I'm just wondering if there may be some opportunity. I know we don't necessarily have any standing committees, but maybe a subcommittee might be able to provide some more assistance on that and bounce some ideas around to talk about what might work. Because Drew is an executive director. He's a staff member. He's not necessarily a business person.
Right.
You're the executive director or the CEO of the library, so you don't necessarily have that. You probably have very entrepreneurial kind of attitudes, but you don't have that sort of hands-on.
Gotcha.
So maybe getting some advice from some folks to find out what they actually need in the community in that area, because I think it's an underserved area, and the resources are fantastic.
Yes.
I use the LinkedIn Learning with my staff in my business all the time, and it saves me money, and I'm getting a higher quality staff as a result.
Right.
So I think there's a golden opportunity here. I personally love to be part of seeing that come to fruition. I bet you others, either on the board or even outside of the board, might be willing to lend a hand on that as well.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stephen.
Well, yeah, let me just concur, because when I was at the chamber with John, with Tara's predecessor, that certainly was kind of an outreach that we're looking to do in terms of stakeholders. Library was very much one of them. Wasn't necessarily tip of the tongue, top of the list, but it was like we're all in the same community. So I think you're bang on, and I think Zoom doesn't make it very very easy. And Drew, I think would be. I think it'd be great. You obviously know Drew, Tara, but if there are ways that we could collectively help, facilitate or to create an event or create an excuse to have an event or something, I'd be happy to help as well.
Yeah, because we've hosted a number of their
You did.
evenings, but to get a little bit deeper, I think has been a bit of a challenge. And I do think you're right. There's tons of opportunities. I think it's just been nailing down which one to kind of run with. So
and I think finding opportunities that are like relevant to the business community, and see what they actually want to do. And I forgot Stephen was a great resource at the chamber before. I forgot that you were there. It's been a while now, but there's another potential committee member to join on and help provide some advice and guidance. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Right.
Thank you.
Anything further, members of the board? Motion to receive this excellent report. Stephen, and seconded by Andrew. Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions? Objections to the approval? Seeing none, this is approved, or this is passed. Staying on the topic of our CEO, we have the CEO update.
Okay, we're just going to bring up the PowerPoint. Okay, so as has been the case for the last year plus. I'm just going to start with a little bit of a COVID update. I did provide a little bit of a brief update to the provincial announcements on Friday. So right now, it is anticipated that Ontario will move into the province's new 3-step framework on June 14th, once we reach 60% of adults with 1 dose. Now, we're already there, but So far, we continue to hear that it will be June 14th. However, we also are prepared should that shift. So step one, as I indicated, actually is a status quo for us. There is no changes for the library from our current status up into step one. The real change for us comes as part of step two, which we're anticipating for early July. The earliest it would come in, if we go on June 14th, then 21 days later, if everything goes according to plan, would be July 5th. And at that point, we could open with 25% capacity with restrictions. We're not sure what those restrictions are. No regulations have been released yet for step two. However, once they come out, we will review them and offer services as we can, although we are expecting it to be similar to previous iterations with that. And then moving into step three, which we expect, if everything goes well, the end of July, early August, and that is when you'll start to see some resumption of normal services. So, for example, in step two, the public will be allowed back into the facility. They'll be able to browse the branches. This is my current interpretation, subject to change. We're also looking at offering outdoor programs during this time. However, in step three, we'll look at potentially reintroducing indoor programs with limitations. Again, look at room rentals as that point. But again, it will all depend on the provincial regulations once they come out for each one of these steps. So yeah, just as I highlighted, this is kind of the public library section if you go to the provincial website. So we don't have a ton of information. As you can see, step one is the same as our current state. Step two, open with 25% capacity with other restrictions. At this time, we're unsure of what that is. And then step three, open in with limited capacity and other restrictions. We're not sure what those are quite yet. But as soon as we know, we will provide the board updates. I did also want to mention that we imagine that as part of step three, we'll take a look at our hours and look at resuming our 7-day-a-week operation. Simona, following up on Janet's question about hours, that is something that we are looking at. It's a good opportunity for us to review our hours once again. We made some changes not too long ago, 2018, 2019. We're looking to keep the same hour envelope, but potentially shift it around in order to expand potentially weekend hours, because we know that that's a real pressure point for a lot of people, particularly the Sunday. You may or may not remember, but previously we added an extra hour on Friday evening and then added some extra hours on the weekend. So we're just going to take another look at it, because again, it does provide us the opportunity to make some changes at this time. So we'll bring all that information to the board in advance, of course. So just a strategic plan update. So the public survey was first released through the Beaver article on May 11th and is available until June 18th. I got an update from Intent today that we've received over 1,800 responses, so we're pretty excited about that. And that'll continue to be pushed out both through our partners, through our own social, as well as paid social. So we're excited to see where we could end up with that. The staff survey was released also on May 11th, and it closed May 26th with about 7980 respondents. To date, Intent has completed over 25 interviews with community partners and stakeholders, which has also led them to be able to participate in numerous senior and teen group sessions. They were invited to sit in on a number of sessions from the community partners and stakeholders that they had previously talked to. So that's been really exciting. They also said that through those, they've managed to reach a high number of non-users, and that they're getting some really great, exciting feedback with that. We held the staff focus group on May 26th with 15 staff members throughout the different organization. And right now we're planning for the resident town hall that the board requested to be scheduled for June 15th. Our approach to that is actually to take some of the early insights that Intent is putting together based on the interviews and the early survey results and kind of do a validation as part of that town hall. So have a number of different questions in order to be able to really get a stronger understanding of what the insights garnered from the other aspects of the community engagement piece have been. And then in terms of next steps, So the data and insights gathered through the community engagement will be added to the other work that we've done. The board's pre-sessions, which gave us a ton of information about how the board would like to see us move forward, their priorities and their thoughts, as well as the environmental scan. We're going to take those different considerations and we're going to kind of put them together. And the current approach that we're taking is we're talking with a consultant to again help us take all those insights and have OPL leadership take an initial pass at it. And then have board sessions where we present kind of our initial findings and groupings, and then have the board be able to provide feedback with that, then potentially go back and review it and then bring it back to the board for final approval. There may be other steps in there depending, but those are kind of what we're looking at, recognizing that we're also doing this in the summer months. With the goal that we would have the general goals in place by the end of August, and then we'll work to create the strategic planning documents through September to launch potentially in October. This also aligns quite well with the budget process, because again, I think we'll be able to see some of the insights and themes and be able to incorporate those into the 2022 budget where possible. So just update on the Glen Abbey exterior renovation. That continues to go really, really well. We had the, actually I'm going to skip to the next page really quick. We had the public consultation, which the results indicated, we asked people what they would like to use it for, and the two primary use cases that came up would be individual reading and reflection, and as well as attending programs, which is actually what we expected. Desire for the space to be accessible equally during 3 different seasons, so spring, summer, and fall. Surprisingly, nobody really wanted to be out there in winter. The top 3, we asked them to provide an adjective that they want to describe the space, and the top 3 were comfortable, welcoming, and peaceful. There was numerous requests for a water feature. However, that is currently out of scope. We did take a look at it. However, water features can be problematic out there, particularly in Canadian winters out there. And really what we instead looked at is the driving desire behind a water feature is that serenity piece, and can that be managed through the AV, the speakers, white noise? How else can we just manage to create that sense of serene and peace that they're looking for? And outdoor heaters are currently out of scope, but that's not to say that's not something we can look at a future budget date. And AV was added to the scope as per the board request. So they're currently finalizing, taking that information, finalizing the detailed design, and it's on target to go to tender shortly after June 2nd, with completion this fall, and then we would likely officially launch it in spring of 2022. And then just North Park, just a quick update on North Park. So I did provide the council report that council approved on Tuesday. So now we are moving on to the next step, which is detailed design for the North Park Community Center. We're working to complete the RFP to get in an architect firm in order to assist us with the detailed design, which we expect to be issued in mid-June. And then the detailed design is expected to start in mid-September. So we're working hard on that. Just mention of budget planning. So the budget committee kickoff is June 22nd. And then as usual, we will bring a budget pressures report to the board in July. And then spend the summer taking board feedback and taking the full look at the organization, different drivers, different impacts that we see, and then bring an initial budget for the board to review in September, and then have any changes made, and then bring it back for approval on the 28th. And then it would go through the town budget process and then hopefully be approved at council on December 21st. But again, more information will come with that as we start that process. And then just an update on the spring fundraising appeal. So donors gave over $10,000 in response to our appeal, which was lovely to see. 10% gave for our digital collections, 90% just said whatever our current needs are. We're definitely, with the help of Joe's growing team and Deb Thompson, we're definitely strengthening our stewardship and reaching out to our donors more often and trying to create those personal connections. We're currently working on our 2020 report to the community, which we'll share with our donors and the board once that is complete. And then, yeah, we're just connecting our donors back to the library. So however we can reach out and kind of get connected with people, we do that. So they also did provide some amazing donor stories. I've used libraries on the go every day for the last year with COVID. It helped save my sanity. And then the last one, I would like my gift to go towards current needs, but I hope some of those are traditional books. Digital is fine, but for me, books are best. Thank you for keeping the library going during this difficult time. It has been a huge blessing for me and my husband to have contactless pickup. So it's lovely to hear the impact that we continue to have, even when we can't necessarily have people in our spaces, they bring us into theirs. So just a seed library, one of our most popular events of the year. We did have to change it up a little bit with the closure, so we expanded it to include early grab-and-go indoor seed kit, so people could come out and pick a bag that had like a to-go kit with that. We distributed it throughout all the branches. Customers picked up over 1,800 seed packages, and we also hosted gardening workshops. And again, our seed library is very much supported by the Burkett's Ball Seed and Oakville Green, which we are very grateful for their support. And then a Story Walk update. Story Walks are going permanent, which we're excited about. They were kind of semi-permanent to date. The installation will happen in June 2021, and we're adding on a location. So we're updating the stories in June, as well as adding a new location at George Savage. So we're excited, and we've got some really great feedback from those. So that is my report.
Thank you. I note that in your report, you also have the community infrastructure memo there as well, the staff report on community infrastructure. Did you want to touch on that at all?
Yeah, that's the one for North Park.
Right. So that's that I saw it as a separate item. I didn't know if you wanted to expand on it.
Oh, no, I just put it in there for that the board was aware of what was being presented as North Park. So the library is part of that,
yes,
but it is a much broader piece to it. There's a whole parks piece to it that'll be going on, as well as the recreation center, library, and there are some community partners, the gymnastic club, potentially the Oakville soccer going on that site, pickleball courts, basketball courts, BMX is going to be it'll definitely be the spot in Oakville once that gets fully put out. So there are a lot of moving pieces to this, but we're excited that it's moving forward and to do the detailed design in our spaces.
And the implication of this report and this initiative by council is to actually try to advance this earlier than it was originally anticipated.
Yeah, it was originally scheduled for what, 2028?
Yeah. So yeah. That's kind of the I think the message right now is that what we thought was way off in the future could potentially become a much sooner reality, which would be awesome, both to get that permanent bricks and mortar facility, but also to be able to repurpose our portable somewhere else in a neat area within the community.
Yeah, and we haven't had the opportunity to do a net new build in a very long time. We've been able to do some renovations, which have been really, really great. We've been able to do some pretty innovative stuff, but a new build is a whole different ballgame, and already we're having some really great conversations about things that we can kind of introduce that'll, again, continue to push us forward.
Very exciting. Mm-hmm. See if you could lobby for a small performing arts space.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to Colleen about that.
I know, I was saying this because I saw her staring at me.
Space is at a premium, I'll tell you.
We need more performing arts spaces in town, that's for sure, even if they're small, because we do not have enough, and there's lots of groups that are looking for those sorts of opportunities. Okay, does anybody have any questions on the CEO report? I see Janet's hand up. Go ahead.
I'll be quick. Can you just tell us, resident town hall, June 15th, is that by invitation only, or is that an open call?
That'll be an open call. Joe and I, we just set the date, and Joe and I just had an initial conversation this morning about how we're going to advertise that and how we're going to either register people or provide the link. So more information will be coming to the board over the next week for that.
Okay, it would be, a lot of us have newsletters that go out sort of around the first week of June.
Okay.
If possible, because we hit a lot of people.
Right.
The second is, can you just tell me, what is the size of the Glen Abbey Library?
It's just under 15,000.
So North Parks is going to be around 17,000, is that right?
It's currently targeted for 17.5, yes.
Okay, so similar, just slightly bigger. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, Janet. Anything further? I don't see anything further, so I'll look for a motion to receive the CEO's report. Motion by Janet, seconded by Bill, Pankage. Any further comments or questions? Any objections to the receipt? See none, that is received. Members of the board, I want to draw your attention to item 7.1, which is the QP 5348 negotiations update. I believe that we can deal with that without going into camera unless you have specific questions. Tara, do you want to just give us a very brief update on that?
Sure, yeah. So the only update is we are progressing with negotiations with our union. We have some tentative dates scheduled for August.
Thank you.
So more information will come once we actually begin that process.
Is that meet everybody's needs, or do you wish to go in camera to discuss this? I'm seeing no interest in that, so can I get a motion to receive the report, please? Moved by Susan, seconded by Bill. Any comment? Oh, I'm sorry, Pankage, did you have a question? Okay. Any objections to the motion? That is carried. Thank you very much. Members of the board, do you have any new business to bring before the board today? Okay, I'm not seeing any new business. I do have a matter of new business, and it's a matter of condolences. I want to, on behalf of all of us, express our most sincere condolences to Bill and his family on the passing of his brother, Terry. Terry was a friend to many of us in the community. He certainly was one of Oakville's biggest boosters in his time on this planet. And we are very grateful for his contributions, which will be long-standing and certainly seen for many years to come. Terry was a father and a wife and a brother, and just a wonderful person in the community, and he's going to be greatly missed. So, Bill, please express our condolences to your family on the passing of your dearly beloved brother. Members of the board, I'm sorry?
Thank you for that. He would like that. So.
Members of the board, seeing that we have no other new business to deal with tonight, the time and date of next meeting is?
June 24th.
June 24th, thank you. I will look for a motion to adjourn today's meeting. Oh, there's a cat. There's a giant cat in downtown Oakville. Call the newspapers. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please? The cat moves, and seconded by Susan. All in favor? That's carried. For the record, Madam Clerk, the cat is actually Janet. Okay. Yeah. Members of the board, this meeting.
It's a filter.
Members of the board, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your time and attention. I look forward to seeing you all in June. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Bill.